All right, we are here today to talk about a few hacks. I want to go over some financing hacks, some that most people try, and then a couple that are really, really tried. I don't really know anybody outside of me that have used these two. So we'll talk about a few different ways to kind of hack getting access to the capital that you need. So Audrey, what's up? Hope you're doing well. I'm guessing that audio's good. So let's jump in. So when we're talking about financing franchises, I feel like everybody knows about the SBA financing, but I think the why behind why banks are so willing to finance these types of deals is what's interesting here. Actually, Audrey and I were having a conversation this week, and we're talking about real estate. And I think it's important anytime you're looking at capital, you want to access capital. You want to consider the market that you're targeting. So it's just like anything else. I think Jay-Z had a lyric that was saying you could sell water to a well, and that kind of thing. People say, oh, I could sell ice to an Eskimo, and that's I guess cool. Like kudos to you for having really great salesmanship. But it's way easier to just sell people what they want. And it's the same thing when it comes to raising capital, whether you're selling to a bank or you're selling to an investor or you're selling to a developer. You want to figure out what does this person want, and then just give them what they want. And that's all we do when it comes to capital. I talked before, and sometimes it surprises even investors that I work with, that I spend more time telling investors no than I do yes. And it's because I've got a lot of investors. And part of that is thanks to a mentor of mine, Oren Claff, that I was able to actually live with for a little while and learn a lot from early in my 20s. And now he's super famous, and I had no idea he was going to be as huge as he is now. But he has a book called Pitch Anything that you should read if you haven't, if you're doing anything in business. It's a really amazing book, but he's just probably the best in the world at raising capital. And one of the things that he does a really great job of is he doesn't try to sell. He tries to figure out, who's the best investor for this, or who's the person that's interested in this, who's, the person that's going to add value. A big part of what we try to do is we want to find investors that are going to be able to add value to the deals that we do, which helps guarantee that they're going to make money and we're going to make money. So it ends up being a win-win. But being able to target your investment to the person that wants to make that investment is the first step of all four of these. So when it comes to banks, there's a reason that banks love real estate. When I mentioned Audrey, we were talking a little bit about real estate. And, at one point I had 34 units of properties, and it's such an amazing investment because banks love it. Banks love real estate, and it's not, I think some people think it's a preference thing. It's not just preference because they like it. It's preference because they understand it. It's easy to understand real estate. When you've got your startup and you've got this idea for a marketing agency that's going to target makeup companies, they're like, okay, we don't know anything about this business. And so it really comes down to, okay, what can we land on? And what can we understand just across the board that has similar rules and blah, blah, blah. So it's more of the fact that they understand it. Now, underneath that, and in between real estate and just even the acquisitions that we do would be real estate. Would be franchises. So in between real estate and a lot of the businesses that we buy, which we still get SBA financing on, would be franchises, because franchising is something that is systematic. They feel like, okay, we can understand what this business is. When the very first Subway franchise is being opened, and they're walking into the business and they're saying, or walking into a bank and they're saying, "Hey, I'm going to start up this. I got this idea. We're going to make Subway sandwiches." And the banks will be like, "Okay, there are plenty of places that make Subway sandwiches. Like, this isn't anything unique. Why would we invest in this? This is crazy." But by the 1,000th unit, the bank is like, "Oh, Subway, cool, we get it." So that's kind of the crucial thing there. The fact that you're walking in with something that is a franchise system gets the bank way more interested than they would be, even sometimes with a existing business that's making money, and definitely way down the line is a business that is a startup. So the bank is always where you want to go to first, and you've got two options there. Number one is you're going to go with a regular SBA financing, and number two is a bank loan. And sometimes it depends on your relationship. Nine times out of 10, it's going to be SBA. If you happen to be in like private banking or something like that, in some cases you can end up getting a little bit of a better deal, which I experience. I started off super broke on my first franchise. I still was, even after my first franchise deal, I was kind of on the come up, and then I think maybe by the fourth deal, I was in private banking at a bank, and the deal was a lot better. It was a lot better. But regardless, you got to get your foot in the door. You got to start to get the deals done. And SBA is an amazing program that allows that, and it's even better when you have a franchise. So we do this in our program. One of the most important things, just as a side note, I talk about kind of getting into private banking at a bank, but that was after having a history with a bank and with bankers, and making sure the people as high up as I get access to at any level knew who I was, and that I wanted to have a long-term relationship and all that. So that's kind of the first step that you start off. If you're even considering buying a business, buying a franchise, or any of this, you're building a relationship, you're getting to know the bankers, you're letting them know who you are, and kind of building your brand there so that you can build that relationship. The second option or kind of hack is, a lot of times there are specific banks that the franchise has worked with that basically they know that particular business. So they don't have a relationship with you. They have a relationship with the franchisor. So that can be a hack in and of itself, because, they already get everything. The franchise likes you. The bank already understands the business, and it can be make it a lot easier. Personally, I never did. I talked to a couple of banks that were kind of in relationship with the franchise. The really cool thing with the home-based franchise was that they had their internal bank. Another thing that I need to say is, when I mention specific franchises that I've done in the past, it's not a recommendation. If I mention a franchise that I feel like is great right now, it's not a recommendation. Everybody is in a unique position. Those are businesses that I bought and sold. When I mention them now, 10 years plus ago. So that doesn't mean that that's a good deal now. So that's something, just one of the emails that came to me, that realized I should say that there's nothing on this channel that is a personal recommendation for you. I want to know who you are, your situation, before saying that something would be right for you. But there was some internal financing in the home investor deal that made that interesting. The third, and these are probably the most interesting two. The third hack is something that most people don't use. I've actually got a person in the program that is likely going to be using this with a franchise, but it's working with a developer or real estate developers. So in a lot of cases, there are real estate developers that are either developing new pieces of real estate, or they have real estate, and obviously they need tenants. And most real estate developers, when there's a new building coming up, the people that they're going to get hit up by are small business proprietors that don't have a big national brand. It's people that want to start a restaurant or a business or whatever to put into the commercial building. And they don't get hit up as much. They have to, a lot of times, go out and seek. So a developer will go out and do the work to get national brands, because what developers they love the other businesses, but what they really want is that recognizable tenant that basically will attract the foot traffic with a national brand and then benefit. And they can, in some cases, they may call them anchor tenant, which could also just be the largest. But those anchor tenants are most of the time they're brand recognized tenants, which bring traffic to that building, and it benefits everybody. So those people, if you're buying a franchise as opposed to just trying to start a business or put a unrecognized business into a building, it's very attractive. Like they literally have to reach out to try to get those anchor tenants, and then they use those names to go and get the other folks. So when you can find out about a development early on, it can be valuable to get in touch with those developers. Say, hey, I'm bringing a franchise town. Maybe this could be a good fit. And those folks are great for getting access to capital. In some cases, it can just be, I mean, if it's a deal like that, I wouldn't do a deal like that unless you're getting a certain amount of money to do your build out. Like they'll give you the money to, when it's a national brand, they'll give you the money to build it out the way that you have to for the franchise. So that essentially is an investment in your business, because that lessens the amount that you have to raise. If it's a $300 franchise with $100,000 in signage and build out and equipment and all of that, then you can get that developer to pay that $100,000. That just lowered your total cost by $100,000. So you just got an investor for $100,000. But that's really the minimum. In some cases, you can partner with them. You can give them an equity stake in the business. I bought and this is a side note for us. These deals happen a lot, and one of the places that we like to go is, I had an amazing deal, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, where a landlord will end up taking over some of those other tenants where the business isn't a franchise. And, we know the statistics, most of these businesses aren't going to make it. And in a lot of cases, the landlord doesn't want the business. They end up taking the business. Since they put up the money for the equipment, all that, they get all of that. And then they just want a renter. So I did a deal, like I said, about 8-9 years ago, where I invested. Another guy went in and started a business back that, I don't want to go too much into it, but it was an awesome deal. It's an amazing deal. Bottom line is, I want to stick to the hacks today. So going to the developer of, especially new buildings, they're going to be willing to put up cash. But even the existing business, the very least you should get is the money that you need for a build out. And they'll do that for franchises. In fact, one of the businesses I opened in Alabama. So I had a franchise. I ended up opening another unit I had one in Tennessee, opened up one in Alabama. And it was kind of a funny story, because there was a tenant in there, and I had no idea, I knew their lease was going to be up, and the landlord, which was a large company, they own malls all over I might say the world. I feel like they have one in Singapore as well, but all over the US, one of the largest top 3 mall owners in America. And so, having benefit of having a franchise, I was able to go in, get a really good deal. They told me, okay, we've got a tenant, they're moving out, whatever, May 1st, you can go in. So May 1st come, I have my construction guys ready. I have all this stuff. We're ready to go. And I get to the building, and like the lady's stuff is still in there. I'm like, what's going on? I call the guy. He's like, yeah, she's supposed to be out. So I have the key, and I didn't really want to violate by going in. He's like, yeah, like anything that's there, I guess she doesn't want, because she knows that the day was today. And I was like, okay, are you sure? Because we're just going to go in here and kind of, do what we need to do. So we go in, we're working, we're getting all this stuff going. The lady comes and she's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm here. The landlord told me this was okay, blah, blah, blah. And turns out, I try to be as gracious as I can with everybody that I deal with. But turns out that she didn't want to leave. She never, it was the end of her lease, but she wanted to renew. She wasn't late. She wasn't anything, but the it's kind of crazy, but basically they gave me the same terms that they were giving her, but she had a mom and pop shop and I had a franchise. And that's one of those things where they are going to favor those folks that can be the anchor tenants. So in that case, I was the anchor tenant. It's probably a 10-unit commercial building across from the mall, and I was the anchor tenant. So one of the opportunities there is to go to those folks and get, in that case, they paid for all my build out. They gave me money for the signage. They really gave me all the money that if they didn't give that to me, I would have had to go and raise that from an investor, get more loans and that kind of thing. And it's just a part of negotiation. You also want to make sure you're still getting the market rent. Now, if they give you that and then they charge you more for rent, then you're not getting a good deal. You want to get that and then not be charged more for rent. The final thing, and this is an interesting hack that I think, again, a lot of people don't take advantage of. One of the things that you can do when you are even just looking at the franchise is they give you access to be able to call other franchisors. So you can go through this book and call all the other franchisors. You kind of see, where they have units, how many units they have, that kind of thing. And some of the people that you want to talk to for your information are the people that have bought their first unit recently, and you're going to get your real due diligence information there. But it's a big opportunity. Sorry. But it's a big opportunity to talk to those folks that have like 200 units. So in that same kind of book, you're going to have the people that have a lot more units. It may be 10, it may be 20. In some cases, I talked about in the other video, there are folks that have like literally 200 subways. So that's a huge corporation. To get to the CEO of that can be really tough. But there are other folks that may have 10, 20, 30, where you can get in touch with them and start to talk to them, let them know that you're going to be buying a franchise. And, it's a great possibility that they may be interested in investing in your franchise. So obviously they like the business, they like the franchise, they've got 20, 30 units. They've served up on a silver platter these folks' contact information. And it's just an incredible hack to be able to build a relationship with those people and be able to potentially raise capital from them, again, using the fact they already get the franchise. They already like the franchise. They're obviously in the mode of buying more and more. And I'm going to not be able to talk on here. Buying more and more. And so instead of buying more, if they can invest in you, that's a huge kind of save in headache and effort and all of that for them. And for you, it's a huge opportunity because that person has a ton of expertise that, in addition to the franchisor and the network and support and all of that you get access to, you get this person that has a serious vested interest because they've invested in your business. So those are 4 hacks for getting access to capital for your franchise business. And as always, I only give you stuff that I've actually used. So those are all 4. I've done all 4 of those. Let's see. We got Miguel says, hi, what's up? What's up? Audrey says, I like that 4th hack. Yes, the mentorship that in addition to the money makes that just incredibly valuable. All right, folks, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thanks for hopping on a quick live. And hopefully this was valuable for you.